right, welcome back. PL pulling out a setup that we have not seen before. Fiercely efficient. What makes this Widow setup different from the other ECM setups we've seen?
So the real thing that makes these Widows so much different is that they're sort of like a Scorpion with a damage bonus. So these are Torp Widows, fitting out pretty strong with their 8 mid shield tank, and then also fitting 4 ballistic control systems and damage control in their lows, and 5 full Torp launchers. So they're doing like 950 DPS, something like that. It's basically like a Torp Raven minus a slot. They just do a blistering amount of DPS, plus they get something like a 30% ECM strength bonus, which is really strong as well.
And since they only have to use the top 4 slots, they must have some utility as well,
They
right?
do have utility slots. They have 8 mid slots. They could field a shield tank and still have some ECM in there. They got plenty of low slots, plenty of high slots. They don't do as much DPS as some of the really heavy DPS setups that we've seen, but since they have so much other utility, well, especially against the team they went up against, which is an armor tank team. So the Dark Side didn't have ASBs running. When I think that No Neros was jammed, they had no reps at all coming into them. So for a lot of different reasons, the PL setup was really strong.
So I had 100 loaded going up against PL, and I had 100 loaded winning that one. Now you're not allowed to change your brackets, but I really wanted to because I think because I think 100 loaded will bring the Vargar setup, and I think if they bring the Vargar setup against this PL setup, PL will smash them.
This setup beats the Vargar setup. I think the Vargars are especially weak against the ECM. I don't think they'll be able to get around all of the jamming that's going to come at them from the PL team.
The other important thing to note about this setup is that just the inherent damage type of Torps. Like Torps are balls to the walls, tons of damage, but you must be hitting something that is
like
massive.
Size,
You must be hitting something that's massive and not moving very quickly.
Like
a Vargar.
Clever.
So Hun is like 30 minutes or somewhere like that to decide what to bring next.
Unless they have a superb backup setup, watching this match, if you're Hun, must be a little bit unnerving.
Oh yeah, because you're seeing like a direct counter for you, but are they going to try to fake you out now and PL bring something totally different next time? Or are they going to bring the Widows again?
Well, PL does have...
I love the Alliance tournament.
PL does have one team sitting in the wings, and that is the Adrestia team.
Yes.
So the Adrestias are like so dangerous because it's a full 12 people, and you have so many ships that if one of these ships gets unjammed, or gets close to anything, they're going to snap kill a bunch of support. And then just with those Vargars by themselves, they're just cannon fodder. So.
All right, well, let's take a look at the brackets because we do have one of the semifinals ready to go now. This is the left side of the screen, or sorry, well, you can't see it now because our bracketing thing looks different, but it is the Pandemic Legion versus Hun Reloaded, which I've had entirely correct every single match, and now, of course, we're doing the other semifinal place where I've had every single match wrong.
Yeah. The only one I've had wrong on the top half of the bracket was I had Godfathers losing to Heretic, but they beat him. But then Hun set that back in line, so half of my final 4 is set up now. But then again, I also had Shadow Cartel in the final 4, so that's not going to be totally right.
Anyway, super cool setup. It was fun to watch.
That was a great setup. I like, as we get to the end here, we see the secret pocket setups coming out, if they have any. But PL only has 2 matches to go now, at most, so if they're going to bring out an Adrestia setup or some other secret setup, it's now or never for them.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think I'd be going with this one again. I am so certain that Hun will bring that Vargar setup.
How certain
are you?
I'm certain enough that I'll do the rest of the tournament with my collar pot. I will look like a douchebag for hours for you people if this happens.
Can we seal the deal?
Yes.
So if they don't bring Vargars...
I'm just going to keep my collar down. If they bring Vargars...
Collar goes up?
Pop it up.
For the rest of the tournament.
Wait.
Will you... and now you have to make up your mind. Will you pop your collars if they bring the Vargars?
Well, I pop my collars. I always pop my collar. This is like one of the few times my collar's down.
You disgust
But you just said if they bring it. If they bring it, you'll pop.
No, sorry, if they don't bring it.
If they don't bring it, you'll
absolutely
pop the
concerned they will,
If they do bring it...
He pops his collar, you don't do anything. Wait.
No,
I think they're going to bring it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they don't bring it...
I pop my collar.
He pops his collar.
If they
do bring it, this mustache disappears at the nearest time I can get a razor or buzzer.
And post a picture of it.
and post a picture of it immediately.
Deal.
You can shave it.
Deal. Oh, hot. I'll take it. Anyway, all right, let's talk a little bit more about making internet spaceships, and especially about iteration, which is something that we've been doing quite a lot of lately.
Yeah, so as you may have talked about before, and I'm sure you'll talk about it more when Unifix, and we went through a period of transition. We reorganized the entire E project. And part of that is listening to the teams,
Yes.
giving the teams a lot more control. You know, as you know, you work really, really closely with all the teams. We want to let them put out a feature, gather feedback, you know, look at the forums, speak to people, and then iterate on those features instead of what we have been known to do in the past. And I'm not saying we'll never do it again, is just throw out features and then go, right, let's move on to the next big thing. We want to iterate on these features, make sure they're solid, robust before we move on to new things. Because, you know, we can't afford to just throw out features and just leave them to rot.
I think historically that's happened a lot too. You throw a feature out, I mean, a real good example is faction warfare. You threw faction warfare out, and it was a great concept. It had so many great ideas, but it was flawed in its original iteration, and it took a long time to come around to it.
Yeah.
Now that it's been iterated again, it's become this really cool thing. It's so much better. Everyone loves faction
And
warfare.
we're actually not even done working on it. So the team that put out Faction Warfare is basically going to spend the winter wrapping it up.
And that's one of the examples of
Yeah.
you know, us continuing with the iteration stories.
Yeah, I think most of the community would prefer iteration than just throwing out more broken stuff.
Still in faction warfare, people have been saying, players have wanted maybe perhaps the pirate factions in some way becoming involved in faction warfare.
Yeah. So adding a faction to Faction Warfare is a fairly massive amount of work, putting an entirely new faction in. What I kind of think about now and then is that, so we have all these people that are just pirates, and they live in lowsec, and they like to shoot stuff, and they don't really want to be part of the establishment. You know, they just want to fight the man and then do whatever those little pirate people do. And I'm wondering if they should be introduced like as an informal faction. So they can remove faction warfare from a system. So they can go shoot the infrastructure hub. If that goes away,
Without getting fully involved in faction warfare itself.
they can just clean it out. And so
the anarchist faction.
They're just like privateers preying upon both sides of the war.
they could just turn it into a normal low-sec system, and then the faction warfare people might come back and plunk down their infrastructure hub and try to make it. But if you don't want it, if you want to carve out your little like anarchist empire, you just shoot the infrastructure hub and faction warfare goes away until someone comes and tries to take it again.
But what would incentivize low-sec people to wanting to shoot a bunch of structures anyways?
But that's the thing, they'd be able to remove it and kind of check out-ish.
And they'd get something for that?
They'd just be able to have their own little empty...
They get to fight the man.
They get to fight the
Okay.
man as well. That's important too.
The man that's keeping them down.
Whenever I think about Eve, I think about incentivizing things. Like,
Yeah.
what do I get out of it?
Yeah. What's the...
It's always a driving factor.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes that's just getting to mess with other people.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good factor.
Messing with other people is wonderful.
Yes, it is.
All right, so we have Mildly Intoxicated versus Verge of Collapse. Michael Bolton.
I'm going to take Mildly Intoxicated.
Yeah, I have Mildly Intoxicated going all the way to the finals of my bracket, so definitely have them for this one.
I'm not going to go against those guys again. I'm going to go with Mildly
Learn a
Intoxicated.
new lesson.
They are clever. All right, so something fell down. That's never a good sign. Anyway, so I am going to go with Mildly Intoxicated as well. I had Raiden before, but of course they're out, so I've replaced that entire row with Mildly Intoxicated. So let's see if I'm right or if I cursed another team.